That is, it's called. Well, Graf means a fail. So ray means some undesirable elements. Basically, if the halacha is that things that are not fit for use at all, undesirable, and it's repulsive and it's disgusting, that's why it's muktzah. But if it's bothering you very much, you're allowed to move it. So it's an exception to the rule of muktzah. We say something that has no function and like something that's undesirable, disgusting, let's say. We spoke about shells and pits from fruits. It's disgusting and it's muktzah. Has no function. Right? But if it's bothering you very much, there's a leniency. It's not a leniency. You're permitted to move it. A practical example these days is, example, when diapering a baby. Diapering a baby, so the dirty diaper is technically muktzah because it's undesirable. However, because it's going to bother you if it stays there, so you're allowed to take the diaper and put it into the garbage. Hypothetically speaking, if it's not bothering you, you're in a place, let's say, where hypothetical, okay? You know, it's not bothering you. You can just leave it there, let's say. You don't want to move it. The dirty diaper is muktzah. Because it's bothering you, it's annoying you to have it stay on the bed over there wherever you diaper the baby, so you're allowed to take the dirty diaper and throw it to the garbage. The same applies, we spoke about the shells and the pits that's disgusting, it's bothering you. It's the same idea, just not as repulsive, but it's the same idea. Shells, pits, that if it's right, this is what I meant to say was, shells and pits are muktzah because they have no function. But it's a little different. Dirty diaper is disgusting, is in that category automatically. Shells and pits on the table can be in that category, meaning that if it's going to start annoying you, it's where the table is the shells and pits on the table, like you're using the space, you don't want it to, it's annoying you. You're allowed to move it. But if you're not using that space, the shells and pits are there, go somewhere else. So if it's annoying you because you're using that space, then you're allowed to move it directly with your hands. However, you're not allowed to create such a situation. You're not allowed to create a situation of Grav Shalei, which means you cannot say, okay, I'm going to eat here, I'm going to put the shells and the pits on the table, and then you think to yourself, yeah, but it's muktzah, you don't want it here. Yeah, but it's going to bother me, I'm going to be allowed to move it. You don't want to create such a situation. You're not supposed to plan that way. I know it's going to be muktzah, but it's going to be annoying me. And if it's annoying me, I'm allowed to move it. You're not allowed to set it up this way. If it happens, it happens. But the chatchila, to set it up this way, is not proper. So how do you deal with it? We once spoke about this. Anyone remembers what we discussed? I think it came up and I mentioned it, like it was parenthetically, we mentioned, okay, if you do it, you can do it that way. Okay, if there's an issue. What?
Putting bread on the plate with the
putting bread on the plate, exactly. If you put bread on the plate, in other words, if the shells and the pits end up being on a plate, and then you put bread on the plate, you can pick up the plate with the bread and throw it into the garbage, hold it to the bread, and the pits go into the garbage, and you're left with the bread on the plate. Yeah.
That's like a second option. You're saying if it's
In other
really
words,
you could touch the pits directly.
if it's annoying you, you can touch it directly.
Okay.
But in a case where it's not annoying you, it's not bothering you, where you're not allowed to move it, this is permitted. Okay, clear? Okay. Now another.
Like the shell of like I was cutting avocado on Shabbos, and then I had like the peel and then also pits. It's all absolute muktzah, right?
If it's not edible to an animal, it's muktzah. Right. If there's animals in the neighborhood that can eat it, it's not muktzah. Right, so In other words, we're discussing pits and shells. Keep in mind, we're discussing when it's muktzah. Not necessarily is it muktzah, because if animals can eat it, then it's not muktzah. If it's muktzah, then we had the whole discussion. Okay, now it's bothering you. The whole thing that we discussed, right? Okay. Now, there's another type of muktzah which is only for Yom Tov, and that is called noilant. Noilant, that's what it's called. Now, there's really different types of noilant. There's absolute noilant and there's regular noilant. There's noilant gomer, absolute noilant, and then there's regular noilant. So in the olden days, they would use ash to cover up undesirable elements. They would use ash. So now, if there's a fire on Shabbos, and now you have ash, you cannot take, so that ash cannot be used to cover the undesirable elements, because the ash is noilant. That means it was born, it was created. It did not exist before Shabbos and Yom Tov, for that matter. There was a piece of wood when Shabbos came in. Now there was a fire, and the wood turned into ash. Now it's noilant. It's a noilant gomer. Gomer means completely. It's a whole sort of like a new creation. Like it didn't exist before. Now until now it was wood. Now it's ash. So now this is muktzah, and you cannot use that ash to cover up the undesirable. That's an example that you used back in the days. So now these days, ash is muktzah to start with. Anyways, I mean, even if you have ash that was burnt, that was before Shabbos. So in those days, ash, if you had ash existing before Shabbos, you can use that ash to use it for things, because it existed before Shabbos. These days, even if the ash existed before Shabbos, you can't use that ash, because these days ash is not something that people use. It's garbage. It's like pebbles and rocks in the street. People don't use ash anymore. But back then, when ash was used, but this is an example of worship for absolute noilant, that of the ash, that's a usable item. But when Shabbos came in, it was a piece of wood. Now on Shabbos it turned into ash, so it's a noilant gomer. It's like a new creation. It's a new thing. It didn't exist before Shabbos. But now this is muktzah. Now this regular noilant. What is regular noilant? Regular noilant means that it's not actually a new entity. It existed before Shabbos, but it sort of got itself a new name. So, for example, if you're eating a piece of chicken, and after you finish eating a piece of chicken, you're left with bones. So now this is noilant, not noilant gomer. It's not absolute noilant, but it's noilant. It's a new thing. What do you mean? It existed before, but till now it was called a piece of chicken. Now it's called bones. So that's noilant. It's a new thing, and that is not muktzah on Shabbos, but it is muktzah on Yom Tov. Yom Tov was stricter. The reason why they were stricter is because they felt, because people have an awareness that Yom Tov in general is easier than Shabbos, right? Many situations Yom Tov is much easier. So people could become relaxed when it comes to different halachos. So muktzah and say, it's Yom Tov, So they were even stricter on Yom Tov, and they prohibited noilant. I mean, there's more details, not exactly the whole machlokes about it, but in a nutshell, that's what it came out to. They were stricter on Yom Tov with noilant over Shabbos. So, whereas Shabbos, the leftover bones, if dogs can eat it, is not muktzah. But Yom Tov, it's irrelevant if dogs can eat it or not. It's a new thing. It didn't exist when Yom Tov came in. I mean, it did exist. Yeah, when Yom Tov came in, it was a piece of chicken. Now it's bones. So this becomes muktzah. Again, now the chicken bones that are muktzah on Yom Tov, again, just like we discussed before, if it's bothering and annoying you, the same halachas apply. Whatever we discussed before, that if it's bothering you, you can move it. You put bread on the table, bread on the plate, you can move it. It's the same halachas apply. Where?
Yes, sorry. Noah Gomer, it's on the outside, but it looks like it's,
Veiled garment is always muktzah,
oh,
even on Shabbos. But regular veiled is permitted on Shabbos and just prohibited on Yom Tov.
but if you have an example besides that.
I was thinking about it. I'm trying to find it. I saw something in a sefer, but I don't understand what they're writing. So, what I saw brought down that they want to use an example of a chicken that lays an egg. That's what they use, but it could be it's brought somewhere. The way I always understood, a chicken lays an egg is prohibited, but that's a decree. Why can't you eat an egg that the chicken laid on Shabbos or Yom Tov for that matter? Chacham made a decree because if the chicken lays an egg on Yom Tov that comes right after Shabbos, let's say Yom Tov is Sunday, and the chicken lays the egg on Sunday, then according to the Torah, this egg is prohibited because that means that the egg was prepared on Shabbos. In order for egg to be laid on a certain day, it has to be prepared the day before. So that means it was prepared the day before, which is Shabbos. And we learn from the Torah that the preparation for holy day cannot happen on another holy day. So that's Minat Torah. According to the Torah, if a chicken lays an egg on Yom Tov after Shabbos, or Shabbos after Yom Tov, you're not allowed to eat it. Chum said, oh, so if it's a Yom Tov not after Shabbos, you are allowed. Shabbos not after Yom Tov, you are allowed. People get confused. They're going to say, oh, you can, I know you can eat a chicken that was laid on Yom Tov. Yeah, but if it's Yom Tov after Shabbos, then you're not allowed. So people get confused. So they said, a chicken lays an egg on Yom Tov, doesn't make a difference if it's Yom Tov after Shabbos, not after Shabbos. You can't eat an egg. The same with Shabbos. The chicken lays an egg on Shabbos, you can't eat it. Why? It's a decree, because if Shabbos would be after Yom Tov, let's say Yom Tov would be Friday on Shabbos, so the first day is on Friday, no Torah, then the egg would be prohibited. So they said, anytime a chicken lays an egg, Shabbos or Yom Tov, you can't eat the egg on that day. So that's what's brought in Shulchan Aruch. I saw in a sefer this morning when they categorize it as noiled. So it could be it is, but wasn't sure about it, so I didn't mention it. Now they asked, I'm mentioning it because it's really categorized as a decree from the Chachamim, because as I explained. So I don't know of any other noiled gomer, anything practical. I think of something. Yeah.
So you can eat it after the Yom Tov, right?
Yeah. It's only prohibited that Yom Tov. After Yom Tov, you could. Yeah, only on Yom Tov, only on Shabbos. No. You don't have to wait any time. Right after Yom Tov, right after Shabbos, you can eat it right away. Okay, going back a little bit to buses. So you have muktzah hanging on a door. Let's say you hang up your muktzah. You have your make a hook over here in the bedroom, and you hang up your purse on the money that's actually muktzah. Let's say the actual muktzah is a buses. And you hang up. It's a place where you keep it on the door. So now, when you want to go to your bedroom on top, you can't walk into your bedroom, right? You sleep on the couch. What? No, you could open the door. Right, correct.
Yeah, no, I heard that.
Yeah, so that answer is correct. You could open the door, you could walk into your bedroom, and the door does not become a buses. And the reason is, the definition of buses is that buses means a base. The table is serving the light. That's what it's there. What's the table there for? To put things on it. What's the door meant for? To hang your purse on it, right? That's you have a door in your bedroom. You have a door because the bedroom has to be closed. You need a door. The door is not there to hang your purse on it. So the door doesn't become a base to the purse. Now, it's still equivalent, it's still synonymous with having light on a table with chal on it. When we said there's a restriction, there still will be a restriction that theoretically, if you're moving it, the reason why you're closing the door to protect the muktzah, let's say, that's not the case. I mean, but if that would be the reason that you're closing the door to protect the muktzah, for the purpose of the muktzah, or to use the muktzah, let's say, theoretically, we had it with the candles, moving the table of the candles to use the candle to light, not practical with the door with muktzah hanging from it, right? So in simple words, if let's say you were to close the door of the muktzah for the purpose of the muktzah, then that would be prohibited. So again, it's the same like table with challah and muktzah, or a table that has only muktzah, but you forgot it there before Shabbos, that the table doesn't become a base. There's still an issue that the chatchila, we have to avoid moving muktzah, even though it's from the side, so to say. You're not moving the muktzah itself. We have to avoid it, meaning avoid it practically, meaning we have to limit it. And Chacham only allow us when there's a purpose, when you're doing it for a purpose, because you need the space, or you want to use the table, you want to use the permitted object, which is usually the case when you're moving the table with leichter and challah, and you're allowed to move it because it's challah. Why are you moving the table? Because usually it's not for the muktzah. That's why it's allowed. But if it were to be for the purpose of the muktzah, it would not be allowed. Okay, clear? So while we're on the topic of buses, we're going to mention something else, and that is, there's something else before that, also on buses, and that is, okay, so going back to the challah on the table with the leichter, and you want to move the table, and you're allowed to move the table because there's challah on it. Now, why moving the table? Because you need the table somewhere else. No problem, you're allowed to move the table. But there's something that we explained it already, but I want to explain it more because I think it's a little tricky. It becomes very confusing, so I want to clarify it. You're not moving the table because there's chal on it, right? And why do you move the table? I need a table over there. I need a space. Okay, there is a hypothetical, more than hypothetical, meaning it's a requirement, but many times you can overpass. That's what I'm saying. Hypothetical. There is a requirement over here before you have a green light. Okay, I can move the table. We say, wait a second. Before I move the table, wait, you want to move from here to there? What do you have to watch out for? What do you have to think about that? 1 second, I could just move it directly. I could just move it. There's something you have to be aware of. What is that? You have to, what?
What's on the table?
No, there's light there, there's candles, and there's color. I want to move the table and bring it somewhere else. I need a table somewhere, I need a space. So we're allowed to move it. But there's something you have to be aware of before you just have the green light. Okay, just moving the table into the other side of the room. Before that, what is that? Because again, being that you are, at the end of the day, you're moving muktzah, now, hand the table, we have to try to minimize as much as possible. And therefore, I'm going to say, wait a second, what is the issue? You need the table? Okay, move the table. But why you have to parade all the way from here till there with the muktzah? Pick up the table and tilt off the muktzah first. Oh, do you have a good reason why you don't want? Okay, we'll listen to you. We'll have a good reason. Well, there we have to say. Well, I don't want to tilt it off because it's going to damage the floor. I don't want to tilt it off because it's going to make a mess on the floor. I don't want to tilt it off because I need the space on the floor. People are walking there. Okay, good. You have a good reason. But if the reason why you don't want to tilt it off is because it's going to damage the muktzah. Wait a second. Now already it becomes an issue. And this is actually a machlokes without some lenience. You're not really moving it to the muktzah. Right? You don't want to tilt it off because it's going to damage the muktzah. You're moving it for a reason, not for the muktzah. It's a little tricky, right? So here is a machlokes. Al-Tanevah seems to be strict about it. Al-Tanevah is strict that the reason why you don't want to tilt it off is because you don't want the muktzah to be damaged. Not a good excuse. You might have to just tilt it off. You get it? I get the point. Again, let me simplify it. You're moving the table with the challah on the light there, and you're allowed to need the space. You need the space over here. If you need the space, no. If you move because you need the space, then there's not going to be a requirement to tilt because you need the space. Right? If you need the space, then no problem. If you're moving it because you want the table over there, so we tell you tilt it off. The reason why you don't want to tilt it off because it's going to damage the light there. If that's the reason, it's not a good excuse. If it's going to mess up the floor, it's going to damage the carpet, whatever, it's going to make a mess on the floor. Okay, so my trip on it, there could be reasons, fine. But if the reason is I don't want to tilt it off because it's going to damage the light there, then it's not an excuse to be allowed to move the muktzah from here all the way to there. You have to figure out a different way how to go about it. Yeah, that clear?
What if if you were worried about damaging the floor, could you put a blanket down and tilt it over and try and get it to land on there? Or would there,
On the contrary, you don't want to, no. You don't want to tilt it off because it's going to damage the floor. That's a good excuse why you don't have to tilt it off.
okay,
You could move the table. That allows you to move it because I don't want to tilt it off, it's going to damage my floor. Floor is not muktzah. If I don't want to tilt it off, it's damage the muktzah, then this becomes. Why do you want to put oh, you're saying you're going to tilt it off because you don't want it to damage the muktzah.
Yeah.
You're going to tilt it off. You don't want to tilt it because it's going to damage the muktzah. So you're saying in that case, put something underneath it. Oh, okay. So here, you know what? There is some details involved. So maybe we'll leave it for another time. We'll discuss it in detail. I don't want to discuss just one point. I want to go through all the details. There's another issue where when you cannot allow muktzah to go onto a keli, because when the mix is on a certain vessel, now there's an issue, you can't move the keli. The chatchila, in other words, if you have muktzah on something, you can't move it. So in a certain sense, it's like you are destroying that vessel. But in Shabbos, you can't break, you can't destroy a vessel. But you have muktzah on top of another keli, yeah? We put muktzah on top of something, usually you can't move. Generally speaking, if I have muktzah on something, you can't move it, right? So in a sense, it's like you're destroying that vessel because you can't move it now. Yeah? That makes sense? You follow what I'm saying? So there is that issue over there, which we'll discuss in detail, meaning that the muktzah is going to, you want to allow the muktzah to fall onto something else. At that point, when the muktzah falls on that object, now that object is not allowed to be moved, generally speaking. It's not a basis, but the chatchila, there is no green light when you have muktzah on something else, now to move that. So we'll discuss it in detail. There are details involved in that. Okay, now here's another issue on buses, and that is, let's write down what the next thing, made fun of. Now, you left money in your coat before Shabbos, and now you want to put on your coat, and now your coat is a basis, is a base for the muktzah. Now, if you leave money on the table, are you allowed to move the table? Before Shabbos, the table becomes a base for the money. Now you can't move the table, right?
you didn't intend it to be
If you didn't intend it to be there, then it's not a base. If I forgot money on the table before Shabbos, only money, I forgot I could pick it up and tilt it off, right? So if I forgot money in my jacket, in my coat, it's not a base for the money, right? I can tilt it out. But if that's where it belongs, that's where it's meant to be. You have a jacket and you put money in there, and you want your purse should be inside the pocket in there. That's what's meant to be. Then the whole jacket will become muktzah. Yeah, you won't be able to pick up, touch the whole jacket. Correct? You get what I'm saying? In other words, if usually you forget it there, but if let's say you have a weekday jacket and you hang it up, and you have your purse there. That's what's saying, which I feel it's safe, it's a good place in the jacket, the purse is inside my weekday coat, I have a Shabbos coat, let's say a weekday coat, my purse is in there, that's where it's staying. Now, the whole jacket can become a base. Now I said it can, before I said it's a base for the muktzah, because you want it to be there. Now I'm saying it can. Because it depends what kind of pocket it is. What kind of pocket? It depends what kind of pocket. Depends what kind of pockets. Pictures,
It has to be like just money, or even if it's money.
anything that's absolute muktzah. Money, a purse that has money and credit
Okay.
cards, if it's absolute muktzah.
Well, what did we say yesterday? Oh, never mind, that was, okay.
If it's a pocketbook with stuff, it depends. It can be a base for both, but let's discuss a regular case where it's absolute muktzah. Yeah, so it depends on what kind of pocket. What kind of pocket? It depends if it's let's say, a pants pocket or a shirt pocket, right? What's the difference between a pants pocket or a shirt pocket? Anyone knows what the difference is?
Pocket is more surface level and an angle,
A shirt pocket,
more surface.
a shirt pocket. So if the shirt pocket, if someone leaves something in a shirt intentionally, muktzah, the whole shirt becomes muktzah. But if you leave something in a pants pocket and you can apply it to other things, I should show it to you. I have it brought here. Then it only the pocket becomes a base, not the whole pair of pants. Okay, so why? So the picture's 1,000 words.
Yeah.
You'll see it and you'll understand it. So take a look. Take a look at the shirt. Yeah, and pass it around. Look at the shirt. So when you put money in there in the shirt, why does the whole shirt become a base? Because it's sitting on the shirt. The money is on the shirt itself. You get it? It's a piece of cloth that's sewn to the material. Huh? Exactly. You couldn't have said it better. You get it? So the shirt, you see what I'm saying? Where's the muktzah? The muktzah is on the shirt. I don't think we need to pass it around, you understand it, right? So a pair of pants, there's a pouch that comes out. You can put it like this.
You can
Right.
pull the pocket out, yeah.
You see over here? Look, take a look. What happens over here? You see this? You see this? Once you see it, it's simple. You'll remember it's regular. Look at this. This is a piece. See this?
Yeah.
It's a material coming out. So even if you put something intentionally and you apply, you'll take your jackets and you'll see how it applies. Depends on what kind of pocket it is. You'll apply it yourself. But you see this? It's a piece of material. What's a pocket? There's a hole. There's a hole in when they manufacture a hole in there. And then they attach a pouch. Something. So even if you put it intentionally, the whole pants is not a base for muktzah. Only this. This is, but not this. That means you can take this, turn it upside down, and shake it out.
Could you
And
push
you
the
apply
pocket?
it to your
Could you reach your hand inside of the pants and push the pocket out so that everything just falls out, or no? You have to fake it.
reach your hand in the pants.
If I show you,
From the inside.
yeah.
But if you
No,
left it here intentionally, then this becomes a base for muktzah. This is a base.
Yeah.
Not this.
Yeah.
This, not
Yes.
this. You want to show me something?
Yeah. So like, could you do this from the inside?
No,
No?
if you
My
left it
hand's
there
touching that.
intention, the whole thing is a base, or just the whole
You have to
thing.
go like this.
Yeah, you can do.
Sorry.
Yeah, you can do.
Well, I'm
Again-
seeing like
again,
this
as
jacket
long-
right here, like it's kind of similar to the shirt pocket where it's like,
What's this?
like I've heard too, like. It's a separate piece of material. But mine,
Exactly, so exactly, so that's the same like the pens, right?
mine isn't.
Again, so it's clear now? Yeah,
Wait, so like the shirt.
the shirt, if you left it there intentionally, let's say this type of pocket,
Okay.
the whole shirt is a base of muktzah, you can't touch the shirt.
Only
Nothing you can do. If you left it there with intention, you want it to be there. If you didn't want it to be there, there's really no difference. Then it's all the same. It's not a base anyways, regardless.
What if you left it intentionally, but like falls out? Sometimes like that's not like a secure pocket. So like, let's say if you realize Friday you're gonna wear it, you left it intentionally, so
You're gonna wear it.
we're not, let's say you were going to wear it, like you thought maybe I'll, like, let's say it was,
You're gonna wear it for Shabbos.
yeah.
So why would you? So you left it there intention,
Oh, it doesn't make sense. No.
right?
Okay, so fine, doesn't make sense. Cause like sometimes things fall out of pockets, so like if you left it intentionally, it becomes like a base for most stuff, and then like it falls out just because the way clothes were,
Does it mean you're saying because it usually falls out?
yeah.
So you want to say it's not a base because it's not really meant to stay there? Why would it fall
No,
out?
'cause it fell out later.
Why? How does things usually fall out from a shirt pocket? Why would it usually fall out?
I don't know, I always do things this way, so.
Yeah, but it doesn't. But if you left it there with intention,
Oh,
and it's a shirt pocket, then the whole shirt becomes a base.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, any other questions? Everyone?
Sorry.
You might have a little trouble finding it. Got it in middle school.
So you're 60 years old, 62 years old,
Yeah. How did that math work out?
50 plus
And one
what?
side.
50 plus what?
1.5. Great. I'm really good at keeping the basics. Something I said the jacket like 15 years old.
I thought you said 15, and then you kept correcting me, and I was like, I can't hear you. It sounds the same.
Not saying like a crap height person now, 15.
Oh. I was like, you're messing with me, you must be, you were. Are you hungry at all?
A little bit.
Want to go get some?
Sure.
So you want a little walkie talkie?
Yeah. Okay, I don't know how to get the windows up there.
Right.
Oh, probably. Not actually, that's.
So what is
Were you on the Zoom call?